Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
General Hospital spoilers for the week of January 19th to 23rd indicate that Michael Corinthos and Harrison Chase will have a physical altercation, which will probably be over Willow Tate Kane's not shamefaced verdict. It was exorbitantly shocking during the Friday, January 16th occasion when the jury in Willow's trial came back with the not shamefaced decision. Of course, General Hospital suckers lately learned that Willow was indeed the malefactor who laid 2 shots into Drew Kane's reverse, a riddle that had been hanging over observers' heads for a while now. As Willow can't be tried doubly for the same crime, due to the double jeopardy legal ruling, it's clear that the drama will continue to unfold in Port Charles as this plot takes an intriguing turn. The ABC Cleaner lately released its promo for the week of January 19th to 23rd. And there are plenitude of intriguing moments GH suckers can look forward to. One similar highlight was a clip of Michael and Chase fighting. In fact, in the videotape, Michael flipped Chase over onto a table, nearly in the quartermain manse. Michael also proceeds to punch Chase, so the two will have a veritably heated hassle at some point during the week of January 19th. It also does take a rocket scientist to see what exactly they'll be arguing about. Chase literally placed his police career on the line to help defend Willow's innocence. He'll feel like a fool once he realizes that Willow did shoot Drew, but that's an entirely different content than the bone that's at hand. Not only did Chase attempt to gather substantiation to prove his ex-wife's innocence, but he also worked hard to gather information that Michael was only shamefaced of Drew's firing but also tried to frame Willow for Drew's firing. Chase is way off base then. And as Michael will be worried enough over the fact that his woman got down with tried murder, all eyes are now in his direction for Drew's firing. Losing this case is a major blow to acting District Attorney Justine Turner's career, and she'll be raging at the mouth to score a palm with the coming suspect. All the substantiation now points to Michael, so it'll be a wrong place wrong time situation for Chase if he confronts Michael in their home, the Q Manse, and starts spewing vicious allegations Michael's way. Chase really should read the room before he confronts Michael, but he won't. Chase will probably bewail about how Michael tried to frame Willow but failed miserably. A crying match will post-date next, but what will push Michael over the edge enough to act violently? All Chase needs to do is boast about how Michael stands to not only lose full guardianship, but also visit rights to Wiley Corinthos and Amelia Corinthos, and all bets will be out. Plus, considering what happened to Michael the last time he landed in Pentonville, he'll be on legs and needles at the study of going back to captivity. Still, Chase mentioning the kiddies will spark Michael's dark side, and it looks like effects are about to get veritably unattractive between the formerly stylish musketeers. General Hospital spoilers note that Michael is fiercely defensive of his children, and he knows now there's a good chance that Wiley and Amelia will only be exposed to Willow's lunacy, but Drew's as well, an influence he was hopeless to keep them from. Kai and Trina are still canoodling at the cafe when Curtis interrupts them to speak with Trina. Kai goes to get them renewals, and Curtis tells Trina that her mama is having a board meeting moment to determine her future at the sanitarium. In malignancy of what's happened, Trina doesn't want her mama to lose her career. Curtis feels there may be commodity he can do to help and takes off. Ava meets with Nina at a near table. And Nina reflections that indeed though Willow is free, she's still wedged with Drew. Ava advises Nina to stay out of it and let Willow choose whether to end her marriage. Just also, Nina gets a frantic call from Willow, who claims commodity has happened to Drew. What has happened to Drew? At the sanitarium, Lucas and Liz bandy Willow's release and whether she'll return to work. Liz doesn't indeed know if Drew will let her come back. Liz also takes a call, says they'll be ready, and tells Lucas a critical case is incoming. Willow arrives, and Liz asks her what happened. She puts on a show, saying she and Drew were celebrating her vindication at home. They were going to have some champagne, indeed though Drew had a terrible headache. That's when he came confused and was warbling his words. She cries one side of his face looked like it was melting, and he collapsed. Liz comforts her friend Nina and Kai soon arrive, and Nina suggests that Kai call Drew's office to have all his movables cancelled. Nina comforts Willow as she cries on Nina's shoulder. Kai watches her performance, knowing she formerly tried to kill Drew once. Will Portia be fired? Portia arrives and runs into Stella in the halls. Stella asks if it was all worth it, losing her family and conceivably her career. Portia defends herself, stating her career is at threat because she chose to try to cover Trina, and she's ready to face the consequences. She walks off, and Stella turns around and spots Isaiah watching their commerce. In a meeting room, Laura and Tracy, as board members, bandy whether to keep Portia on staff. Portia soon arrives, and Laura tells her that she'll either be let go or reinstated on a probationary base. Tracy says they'd like to give her a chance to defend herself. Portia explains she altered Heather's results to cover her son. She has been cleared by the American Medical Association, and though she has a mark on her license, she can still exercise. She says she's an excellent croaker with a sterling character. Laura asks what if a case is reticent to trust her with their care and particular information. Portia says conduct speaks louder than words, and indeed though Drew was blackmailing her, she saved his life after he was shot. Laura thanks Portia for her time. What's Drew's opinion? The meeting ends, and as she's leaving, Tracy spots a crying Willow in the staying area with Nina. She asks if Commodity happened to the kiddies, but Willow says it's Drew. Lucas and Liz come out to give the news to Willow, Nina, Tracy, and Kai. They believe Drew suffered a massive stroke. They're covering him, and it's too early to tell what the long-term goods will be. Willow knows aphasia and limited mobility are a possibility, and Lucas says in extreme cases, locked in pattern. They wouldn't know anything for some time elsewhere. Isaiah asks Stella to talk, but she has nothing to say to him as he's not family, and he'd no right to fit himself into Portia's marriage. Isaiah says she can be angry at him, but to flash back that Portia came through for her when Drew targeted her with that insurance fraud disquisition. Stella knows that's true. Isaiah simply asks her to extend the kindness and fairness that she's known for to Portia. Portia runs into Isaiah laterally and fills him in on the meeting. Isaiah believes the board will see she's a fantastic croaker, and he walks her out. Still, Stella calls to them to wait. Back at the cafe, Ava sits with Trina, who beams about how happy she's with Kai. Ava also gets a textbook update on a purchase she's working on for Sidwell, but the fresh shipping freights surprise her, as she was awaiting them to be so high. Curtis goes to bat for Portia. Curtis meets with Laura in her mayoral office about Portia. He speaks on her behalf and informs her that if Drew had his way, he'd have forced Portia to change Michael's blood test results to make it look like he was addicted to pain capsules to secure guardianship of Michael's kiddies for Willow. Still, Portia refused and stood up to him, risking her career and captivity time. That's the kind of croaker and person she is. A date and a demand. Back at GH, Jason meets up with Britt, who drags him off to show him Commodity, as Cullum lurks in the background. Britt takes Jason to her new office, and she makes a vengeance investiture for the cafe bill he covered. Britt also says she wants to take him out, and he incontinently agrees. Still, she has conditions and tells him to wear his blue suit, which makes his eyes sparkle. They kiss, and she says she'll pick him up tonight. Jason also takes off. Cullum also appears and tells the surprised croaker, "Leaving the 5 poppies doesn't mean leaving me before." He insists she'll begin working at Sidwell's lab tonight and bring the design online within 3 months. He orders her to dislocate to Windmere and to vanish to ensure this happens without distractions. He threatens that he can replace her, but doubts she can replace the drug they're furnishing her. Sonny makes a suggestion. Sonny follows Justine back to her office and assumes she's going after his son. He reminds her that she was there when Drew tried to ring him over Michael, so she's compromised. She admits he's right, and she'll happily recuse herself if charges are filed against Michael. Sonny notes the case would be good for her career, but Justine has no desire to condemn an innocent person, as she believes Willow is the shamefaced bone. Unfortunately, the case is still open, and Michael will probably be fulfilled. Michael and Chase come to blows at the Quartermaines. Chase tells Michael that if he goes down for shooting Drew, he has nothing but himself to condemn. Chase accuses Michael of wanting vengeance against Willow, and he's the one who should be locked up and kept down from their kiddies. Michael says Chase is so hopeless to save Willow that he offered his career, and he's as pathetic as Drew for falling for her victim act. Michael asks, "How long before you're back in her bed?" Chase loses it and punches Michael. Michael gives back, and they begin beating one another until Jason shows up to break it up. Chase vows to make Michael pay for what he did and storms out. Jason asks if Michael is each right, but he's not, as the Bobbies will come after him next. Michael gets an ice pack for his face, and Jason says he believes Michael didn't shoot Drew. He also says this is nothing compared to his fighting through those becks to get home to his kiddies, so he can get through this. In the show's final moments in her office, Laura thanks Curtis for telling her about Portia. She also hopes that if Portia's baby is his, they flash back they're able of coming together for a common thing. He wants this baby because it's an alternate chance to be a father, given he didn't get to raise Trina. At the sanitarium, Stella apologizes to Portia for adding further pressure to her earlier, before her meeting. Portia thanks her and is sorry for the pain she's caused her or anyone differently. She says she still loves them each, and Stella knows that. Isaiah and Portia also head out. At the cafe, Trina tells Ava that Mr. Sidwell is a smart buyer and will understand the investment in this artist. Still, Trina asks her to just be careful, as she's heard Mr. Sidwell may be dangerous. Ava says she knows how to deal with men like Jens and plans to spend a lot further time at Windmere. In her office, Britt tells Cullum that she'll go to Windmere tonight. He's pleased but also orders her to get that worrisome Jason out of her life as well, or he will at home. Michael tells Jason there's a chance Willow could get guardianship if he goes to trial, and he can't shoot his kiddies back to Drew's house. Jason promises him that Drew will no way be in his children's lives. In Justine's office, Sonny believes no jury will condemn someone for shooting Drew, as he does earn justice. Sonny suggests the case be marked unsolved and forgotten, as Drew got what he merited. Back in GH's waiting room, Kai defenses himself to make further calls on Drew's behalf, and Willow goes to splash water on her face. Tracy quips to Nina that it seems air has eventually caught up with Drew, and he could be a vegetable trapped in his own body for the rest of his life. Eventually, Willow disposes of the hype in the trash can and smiles. The city of Port Charles was buzzing with tension as General Hospital opened its week with a shocking twist that left fans reeling. The legal proceedings that had gripped the town came to a dramatic conclusion when Willow Tate Kane walked out of the courtroom a free woman. Despite having shot her husband, Drew Kane Quartermain, twice in the back, the jury rendered a not guilty verdict. The revelation that Willow had been the shooter all along had fans screaming at their screens in disbelief. What made this outcome even more explosive was the legal principle of double jeopardy. Willow couldn't be tried again for the same crime, meaning her freedom was legally untouchable. For the residents of Port Charles, this was the start of a week filled with conflict, deception, and emotional turmoil, and it became clear that the fallout from this trial would continue to ripple through every corner of the city. The drama kicked off at the Quartermain mansion, where tensions between Michael Corinthos and Harrison Chase escalated to a full-blown physical confrontation. In a promo clip for the week, fans witnessed a fierce clash. Michael flipped Chase onto a table, then landed punch after punch, igniting a heated altercation in the family home. Their animosity was rooted in Willow's acquittal. Chase, who had risked his entire police career to defend Willow's innocence, had been misled, believing she was not capable of the heinous act. When the truth came out, Chase's misplaced loyalty and Michael's simmering rage collided, creating a volatile situation. Chase had not only worked to clear Willow's name, but he had also tried to implicate Michael as the one responsible for shooting Drew. The combination of betrayal, frustration, and paternal protection of Michael's children created a perfect storm for conflict. The situation became even more combustible as Chase pressed the issue. Michael's mind raced with worry over the potential consequences for his children, Wiley and Amelia Corinthos, who were at risk of exposure to the dangerous behaviors of both Willow and Drew. Chase's insistence on discussing custody and Willow's freedom ignited Michael's darker impulses. Fans could predict the explosive argument that was about to unfold, and the Quartermain mansion became a stage for rage, threats, and the fraying of friendships once considered unbreakable. Meanwhile, elsewhere in Port Charles, the residents were caught up in their own personal dramas. Kai Taylor and Trina Robinson were enjoying a casual moment at the cafe, but the calm was interrupted by Curtis Ashford, who needed to discuss a serious matter with Trina. Her mother, Portia Robinson, was facing a hospital board meeting that could determine her future at General Hospital. Curtis, deeply concerned for both Trina and Portia, offered support and strategized ways to protect Portia's career. Though the conversation was tense, Curtis reassured Trina that he would do everything in his power to advocate for her mother, displaying the quiet heroism that fans had come to expect from him. Nearby, Ava Jerome was meeting with Nina Reeves, venting her frustrations over Willow's ongoing influence on Drew. Despite Willow being free from legal repercussions, Ava recognized that Drew's life remained dangerously entwined with his unstable wife. She advised Nina to remain cautious and not to intervene, emphasizing that Willow's choices would ultimately dictate the course of their family's future. Just then, Nina received a frantic phone call from Willow, claiming that Drew had collapsed. The alarm in Nina's voice underscored the precariousness of the situation, signaling the beginning of a week dominated by medical emergencies and deceptive appearances. At General Hospital, Lucas Jones and Elizabeth Weber prepared for the arrival of a critical patient, unaware that the unfolding drama involved someone as notorious as Willow. When she arrived, she spun a story of a champagne celebration at home following her acquittal, describing Drew's sudden confusion, slurred speech, and the alarming collapse of half of his face. Her performance was dramatic and convincing, earning comfort from Liz and concern from Kai, who remained skeptical due to his knowledge of Willow's prior attempt on Drew's life. Nina joined them soon after, advising Kai to cancel Drew's appointments and offering Willow emotional support as she wept on her shoulder. Every movement, every tear, every gesture was a calculated performance, masking the reality of Willow's dangerous actions. While Willow played the role of the distraught wife, another battle of ethics and career preservation was taking place. Portia Robinson faced scrutiny from hospital board members Laura Collins and Tracy Quartermaine. The board convened to determine whether Portia would retain her position or be dismissed for altering medical test results. Portia's defense was measured yet passionate. She had tampered with results to protect her daughter, Trina, and her actions had been in alignment with her oath as a medical professional. She reminded the board that despite Drew's threats, she had saved his life following the shooting incident, proving her dedication to her duties. Laura and Tracy weighed her argument carefully, questioning whether patients might hesitate to trust her, but Portia reassured them that her actions demonstrated her integrity. The board seemed convinced by her reasoning, offering her probationary reinstatement rather than termination, though the tension remained palpable. As the week progressed, the severity of Drew's condition became apparent. Lucas and Liz delivered devastating news: Drew may have suffered a massive stroke. The medical team warned of possible aphasia, limited mobility, or, in extreme cases, locked-in syndrome. The uncertainty of his prognosis hung over the hospital like a dark cloud, and the emotional toll on those involved, Willow, Nina, Kai, and Tracy, was immense. While Willow maintained her facade of grief, Tracy openly reveled in the potential karmic justice for Drew, relishing the possibility that he might face a permanent incapacitation as a result of his own actions. In contrast, Kai's suspicion of Willow deepened, as he observed her manipulative performance and questioned her true motives. Meanwhile, at the cafe, Ava continued to navigate the complexities of her relationship with Jen Sidwell. Trina, sensing potential danger, urged Ava to be cautious, reminding her that Sidwell's business dealings were far from predictable. Ava, confident in her ability to handle high-stakes negotiations, assured Trina she would remain vigilant while focusing on her art at Windermere, illustrating the constant balancing act between personal ambition and safety in Port Charles. Curtis Ashford, meanwhile, took proactive steps to protect Portia. Meeting with Laura in her office, Curtis explained the stakes involved in Drew's manipulation. Had Drew succeeded, Michael would have been framed as an addict, jeopardizing custody of his children. Portia had refused to comply, risking her career and personal freedom to maintain ethical standards. Curtis' advocacy highlighted both the personal and professional sacrifices required to stand against corruption, emphasizing the moral courage necessary to navigate the dangerous waters of Port Charles's social and legal spheres. The week also introduced romantic entanglements and professional threats for other characters. Britt Westbourne, in the midst of a growing relationship with Jason Morgan, revealed a new office and made a repayment for an earlier favor, signaling both financial responsibility and emotional vulnerability. The two planned a date, adding a touch of personal joy to the otherwise intense week. However, WSB director Ross Cullum's looming presence reminded Britt of the consequences of failure. She was ordered to relocate to Windermere, launch a project within 3 months, and ensure Jason was kept at a distance. The combination of professional pressure and personal stakes created a tense dynamic, underscoring the precariousness of life in Port Charles, where love, loyalty, and ambition constantly intersected with danger and deceit. Back at the Quartermain mansion, the physical altercation between Michael and Chase reached its climax. Chase accused Michael of endangering Willow and the children, blaming him for wanting revenge rather than prioritizing justice. Michael, enraged by the insinuation and the threat to his custody, retaliated verbally and physically. The brawl escalated until Jason intervened, breaking up the fight and attempting to restore order. Chase's exit was marked by a vow of retribution, leaving Michael both physically battered and mentally strained, aware that law enforcement scrutiny could soon follow. Jason, ever the protector, reassured Michael of his innocence while promising to prevent Drew from regaining influence over his children, highlighting the recurring theme of guardianship and loyalty that permeated the storyline. Simultaneously, Sonny Corinthos worked behind the scenes to shield his family. He confronted ADA Justine Turner, urging her to reconsider prosecuting Michael, citing the extenuating circumstances surrounding Drew's own behavior. Sonny's argument was rooted in pragmatic morality. Drew's actions had provoked multiple tragedies, and pursuing legal action against Michael would serve little justice. While Justine expressed reluctance to ignore her duties, Sonny's reasoning emphasized the complex ethical landscape of Port Charles, where legal principles often collided with personal loyalty and survival. As the week drew to a close, additional tensions mounted. Kai continued efforts to manage Drew's appointments and medical care. Willow maintained her performance of grief while secretly eliminating evidence, and Tracy observed the unfolding chaos with a mix of schadenfreude and strategic insight. The stage was set for future confrontations, medical crises, and emotional reckonings, ensuring that viewers remained captivated by the intricate interplay of deception, loyalty, and ambition. In the final moments of the week, scenes intertwined. Portia and Isaiah's reconciliation demonstrated the power of forgiveness and support. Ava and Trina's discussions reflected the importance of caution and strategy in personal and professional dealings. Britt's compliance with Cullum's demands illustrated the pressures imposed by external authorities, and Michael's battered yet determined presence highlighted the ongoing struggle to protect loved ones from harm. Each narrative thread reinforced the overarching theme of the week. In Port Charles, life was a constant baptism of fire, where encouraging words and angry threats coexisted, and every choice carried consequences with the potential to alter destinies. The events of January 19 to 23, 2026, showcased General Hospital at its most dramatic, blending courtroom tension, violent confrontations, ethical dilemmas, medical emergencies, and personal betrayals. Fans were reminded that in a town like Port Charles, no one was ever truly safe, no secret could remain hidden forever, and every character's decisions, whether made out of love, fear, or ambition, could have far-reaching consequences. From Willow's manipulations to Michael and Chase's explosive feud, from Portia's ethical stand to Britt's coerced compliance, each storyline interwove to create a week of relentless suspense and emotional intensity, leaving audiences eagerly anticipating the next wave of shocking revelations and life-altering choices. By the end of the week, viewers were left contemplating the precariousness of trust in Port Charles, the fragility of familial bonds, and the lengths to which individuals would go to protect themselves and those they loved. The baptism of challenges that characters faced, from medical crises to legal battles, from romantic entanglements to personal vendettas, underscored the depth of storytelling that had become the hallmark of General Hospital. And as Willow disposed of the syringe with a knowing smile, fans were reminded that in Port Charles, the line between innocence and guilt, loyalty and betrayal, life and death, was dangerously thin, setting the stage for a new week of dramatic upheaval.